Oh, hello everyone. Thanks for being here. Bit of leftover recycling and upcycling from Christmas and one of the previous thumbnails I've used before. So Emma's here and still driving home. Thanks, Emma. G'day, Roger. G'day, Stylesy. Mum and Dad are in the house. G'day, Cody. G'day, Funkin' Hungry. Who else is here? Peter's here. G'day, Peter. And who else? And quite a few other people. Thanks everyone for joining in. Welcome to another Thursday night here in the shed. And now I got a bit of inspiration from Emma last night. Last sort of week or few weeks at work have been absolutely crazy and hectic, and little bit on the stressful side. But it's calmed down a lot, so which is really good to see. We're still busy, still got plenty of work to do. My truck's broken, so it's down, getting looked at or fixed or whatever they're doing to it. Who knows when it's going to be back? So I'm in a different truck, doesn't hold as much fuel and other stuff. So I'm still trying to do the same job, and with so much more going on. But anyway, put that aside. That's work. So that means that translates to I haven't got much done. I've done a little bit of work here. Tiling wise, we're still tiling in the wife's shed, and you know, it's getting close to the pointy end. We need to put another few big days in and get the tiling done, and then do a few more finishing on the trim side of things. I'll just play. No, Stylesy. As for the rain, good question, mate. No, we've had some showers here, and that's about it, thankfully. And we've been doing a big job up at our one of our properties that the company has, and we did have some rain. That was a few weeks back, but no, none of the stuff they're getting up north is thankfully transferred down here. So although and that's a situation where it's just too much rain, and as you can see, Peter can attest. I've got to put these glasses on, guys, so I can read the chat. Yeah. So thankfully, just none of the water, and if we had that much water here, we'd have major flooding in areas all around. We've got enough. They've got enough problems up there, and that's it'll go away. It'll subside. There is a lot of damage around. Everyone can jump on the web or social media and see the amount of water that's laying around. So let's hope it eases off or stops for a while, so they can have a clean up and start getting back to some sort of normal life. So our thoughts go out to those people. Close to the home here, not far away from me, is a place called Bribie Island. Some of you may have heard about it on the news just recently. A young girl, 16-year-old, got attacked by a shark, and she passed away on the beach, unfortunately. She was out swimming or training with a friend. The shark got her, and it was real tragic circumstances. That's it's probably the first one in a long time, I think, or here in Queensland anyway. The particular young girl, I believe, goes to the school very close to here, and it's just a real tragedy. Unfortunately, that sort of thing happens in life all the time. But moving on from that, life goes on, and progress is progress. Behind me on the bench, you can see the mag base drill that's has been used on the boiler recently to drill a few holes. Bit of boiler work going on there. As you'd appreciate, this, as I've mentioned before, this engine spent 50 years of its life out in the weather in a park while out of use. It's not going to come up. Right, here we go. I'll just share. I've got to have that up, haven't I? I'll just share the screen, and we can do this quickly here, like this. Now we can. Screen. Righto. And we're on screen. There you go. That's where the roller sat for most of its life, for 50 years of its life. It got moved around a little bit. It was out in the open, and you know, anything being out in the open doesn't do it the world of good. And sadly, parts of the boiler did suffer because of its exposure to the elements. However, this is nothing that can't be. Oh, excuse me. Sorry, folks. This sort of thing is quite repairable. It's all been done to a procedure, and it's something that happens on a regular basis, both in normal industry and also heritage and tourist industry around the world. The UK has a big steam base, and this sort of work goes on very regularly. You can go onto their social media pages, especially YouTube, and look up some of the heritage railways in the UK and see the sort of work they're doing, not just working on locomotives or parts of the locomotives, wheels, etc., boilers, the rolling stock or the carriages that they ride in. Also, there's a group in America. They've taken a leaf out of the enthusiasts in the UK. The guys in America are rebuilding a steam locomotive, a mainline steam locomotive. They're actually building it from scratch because none of the ones were actually preserved. So they've decided to build it from scratch. So me doing work on this small engine is nothing in comparison to what goes on in industry every day. That's correct, Peter. Nothing that can't be repaired or replaced with the right tools, and not only the right tools, but the right procedures, all that sort of stuff. In industry, everything's done, especially welding and things like that, on pressure vessels, pipes, and so on. It's all done to codes and standards and so on. And this is no different. Everything's above board during this. The only good thing about Stylesy, the only good thing about UK is soccer and fish and chips. Well, there's some people might correct you on that, Stylesy. They might tell you over there, mate, it's football. You say soccer, mate, and they think you're swearing at them. But anyway, there's some good other things come out of the UK. That steamroller is one of them. I mean, the men who built this, actually, I'll preference that by the men and boys who built this engine back in 1926 could not have, dreamt that this thing would still be around 100 years later. Maybe 20, 30, 40 years later on, but not 100, They just couldn't understand, or they couldn't fathom that sort of future for something like this. And this is not the oldest steam vehicle to survive. There's other older steam vehicles out there that have survived into preservation, and it's great to see. Put my old man glasses back on. Yes, mate. This one was made by John Fowler and Company of Leeds. That's the one. Yeah, you're right, Stylesy. I understand why you use that, mate. But if you know any Poms or ex-Poms and you want to upset them, you call it soccer or foosball, or call it something they don't. That gets them going. Anyway. All right, back to it. So we'll stop sharing that, get my ugly mug back up on there. So a while back, here's something I prepared earlier. No, it wasn't me. It was Emma. Emma got these cast up for me. These are the levers that go onto. Here's another thing I'm pulling out of my hat. These are the levers that go onto the cylinder drains. So this piece here needs to have a square in it to fit that. So that will go on there like so, and will open, and this is a valve. Essentially, this is a valve, a drain valve or a tap, and it's got a very small hole on it. Let's just take that nut off, and I'll show you inside here. Right, as you can see, that's got a very small hole. So this is mounted on the cylinder block, and being a steam engine, let's pull this apart. Oops. It's got a small hole through there. Being a steam engines are prone to getting condensation or water getting in the steam. Essentially, because of the pressure these run on, it's low pressure, compared to other bigger boilers and factory boilers, marine boilers that are in ships or power stations. This is low pressure and also called what's commonly known as saturated steam. Saturated steam has a lot of water in it, and these engines can potentially cause problems if there's too much water in the steam. And what you do is open these drains to let any excess water out or condensation out, because water is not compressible. And if you try and do that, the end result is not very good. Things start to bend or break. There's been a few examples over that through history with steam locomotives and these things as well. But as an engineman, that's one thing you learn to manage, to make sure you don't get too much water in your steam. However, there are some situations where that can't be avoided. Cherinator, g'day mate, how are you? Just let me catch up. I don't know. Yes. The old Funkin' Hungry, he doesn't mind either way. Thanks everyone for joining in. It's great to see you here. If you're new here, my name's Mark. I'm restoring a steamroller with the help of friends and family and my wife, and all you guys supporting my crazy journey along this interesting little learning curve that we're going through. So I'm just putting this back together now, and we'll move on to something else. We've got to, yeah. So your nut goes on there like so. Oh, wrong way. Lefty loosey, righty tighty, as they say. These still need a bit of work. The casting's a little bit rough, but it's pretty good. I got eight of these made in total. Sent 4 of them down to the guy in Melbourne, and he's got his cleaned up nicely, and they look fantastic. What else? All right, they've done the righto. So we'll flip over to the old bench cam, and Emma's gonna enjoy this. And we'll put that on full screen. G'day Tiffany, how you doing? Thanks for being here. Good to see you. Don't know whether the other half's watching or not. Righto. So we're going to go over. This is a book here I've had for a long time. Now it's a really old book. As you can see, $10 back in the day. That was damned expensive. It's called The Engineman's Key. Now this is a book written for Australia. This is the 15th revised and enlarged edition. As you can see, it's been put together by a bit of masking tape. It's sort of hard to open the pages. and some of them are starting to rip. This book is still available. I looked online and it's $55, and that's probably something I'm going to invest in, especially because of the contents in here for my situation at the moment with what I'm doing with my engine, my boiler, and also what we're doing down at the club at Old Petrie Town that I'm involved with. Now, those of you who are not familiar, I'm involved with a club at Old Petrie Town here just northwest of Brisbane. We have a range of vintage machinery, both steam and internal combustion engine, and various other different bits and pieces that are no longer in use in modern day industry. However, they were the cream of the crop at the time. And we're also undertaking some maintenance at the moment on the engines, as we have a big event coming up in August at the John Darien Woolshed, and we'll talk about more of that later on in another stream. So getting back to this book, once again, written by Australians for Australian conditions back in the time. I don't actually have a date, but I would imagine probably around the same year as my role, and maybe 1920s, maybe in 40s or 50s this was, and it's been revised. I don't know how many revisions it had, but once again, this is the 15th. So it's a handbook for all in charge of or connected with steam engines, pumps, boilers, mining machinery, and suction gas plants. That's all stuff that was being used back in the day, and a similar sort of technology is used today, but probably not as much. It's illustrated with 111 engravings. Back in the day, the technology at the time was engravings or plates. For me, this is a real treasure, this book. It also includes 399 questions and answers on subjects relating to examinations for certificates of competency, Victoria, New South Wales, Western Australia, Queensland, Tasmania, New Zealand, and South Australia. Now, a few of our viewers here from South Australia, and they'd love to get their name shouted out. Thanks to you guys. And the chief engineer at the time, that's in England. And of course, we did take a big leaf out of the book of many things from the UK. Essentially, my roller and other engines that were made by John Fowler and Company, but other manufacturers from the UK. But a lot of standards came from the UK. So I'll just go and just play catch up in the chat for a second. Yeah. Stylesy, South Australia rocks. Yes. Well, the other thing, Stylesy, you guys are famous for, which you don't know about, you were the only state in Australia at the time, before we standardise on a rail gauge, as in the standard gauge we have here, which is 4 foot 8.5 inches, which predominantly was New South Wales. You guys are the only state that ran all three gauges. So Queensland had narrow gauge at 3 foot 6. New South Wales was standard gauge, always was 4 foot 8.5 inches. Melbourne, Victoria was broad gauge, which was 5 foot 3. And you guys down in South Australia there, you guys had all three. So you actually had a section of track where there was tri-gauge railway line. So you had 3 foot 6, 4 foot 8.5, and 5 foot 3 at one stage. And I don't know if any of that's been preserved or not. That's a little bit of a rail fan sort of a thing, but you guys did have that sort of thing. So getting back to the Engineman's Key here, the first issue of the Engineman's Key having sold out within 8 months after the day of publication. No expense or trouble has been spared. On the subsequent editions,
to maintain the reputation of the book has gained among its ever-increasing number of readers. I would agree with that because there is a lot of technical information in here. Now, for you guys who are not dealing with this sort of stuff, a lot of it's probably going to go over your head. In my 45 years of dealing with boilers and so on, it's taken me a long time to get this to, soak in. And, like anything, after you work with it a long time, you get to know it, get to learn it, and get to know, off the back of your hand. Now, I'm not going to go through everything here, and as I said, this is really starting to deteriorate, and I've got to be really careful. So I might have to get myself another copy. But there's a whole heap of information in here. What really stood out for me at the moment is a section in here, section 12, the strength of boilers. So we'll go over to page 274. There is a number of books that have reproduced some of this information, but sometimes it refers to maybe something in America or maybe something specifically for the UK, but this is definitely here for Australia. So, so we'll just skip through here. It says that we'll go down here. The strength of boilers depends upon the nature of material, workmanship, and design. And it lists a couple of different types of boilers that were manufactured at the time. Cornish or Lancashire boilers. You can go and look those up, do a quick Google search, and you'll see the difference in those if you want to do that sort of thing. The good thing here, it gives you some formulas to work on that engineers, boiler inspectors and that sort of thing would use, or if they are designing a new boiler, depending on the capacity, what it's needed for, all that sort of stuff, and the factor of safety. Some of you may have heard of this factor of safety. So the factor of safety should never be less than 5, i.e. if the bursting pressure of the shell of a boiler were 500 pounds, then 100 pounds only should be the working pressure. Of course, that's all relative to what's going on, what it's being used for, that sort of thing. For example, my engine here, this engine, when it was in working order, the maximum working order was 200 PSI per square inch. I'm not going to convert that. I won't off the top of my head. You can do a Google. You can easily convert that into kPa or bar, whatever you want, depending on where you're from. However, I'll say that the higher the steam pressure, the more work you get out of it, the more power you have, essentially. Right, we just got a noisy car or bike. And that's probably the simplest way to put it for most of us watching tonight. If you want to go into more detail, you can. There's a lot of information online, or you can pick up old books like this and start reading. And if you're an insomniac and you've got nothing else to do, and it covers all sorts of different parts of the boiler. It's really, really good. I found it quite fascinating, especially with the formulas. They are quite easy to follow along with, because they didn't just give you the formula, but they give you they give you the formula and an example, and they step it out. So it's and especially at the moment, what I'm looking at is a section here called the strength of stays, and it explains what they do. Now, I'll give you a quick overview of a stay. In boilers, I'll come on to the main screen. I'll play a bit of catch up in the chat, if not much is. Well, you can ask. No.
Peter, you might have to have a conversation. Get this ugly mug on screen. Here we go. Right, boiler stays. I don't. Right. Actually, I do. Righto. Here's an example of a boiler stay. This is a much larger version, for instance. Usually boiler stays or wall stays have a thread at this end, and the piece in the middle here is reduced down so that it can be screwed in from inside or outside, because it keeps the inner and outer firebox together. That's why they call them stays. What happens is over time, especially with something that's 100 years old, oh yeah, I don't know, Pete. Thanks for pointing that out. You're the only one. You're a smart fact checker. It's a fact checker. Didn't you hear what Mark Zuckerberg said? It's a fact checker, a fact book. That's why I'm going to leave it. I'm not going to change it. It's not worth it. It's fact book, isn't it? Isn't that what you call it? Anyway, getting back to this. I don't even have the old. So I'll give you an example. Hang on. Let's grab an old one. Righto. Well, you're a fact checker, fact book. Right, here's an old one. Now, this is what I mean here by here. This is the thread. This is where it screws in, and then you can see it's reduced down. And on the other end here, there is another thread. This one had to be cut off, right? So there's another bit of thread like this on the end, and it goes in a particular part of the boiler. In that case, like that, has a nut on this side, or depending. Now, there are many of these throughout, excuse me, there are many of these throughout the boiler, and depending on the size of the boiler will determine how many, where and when. And that book that I was just showing you before helps you understand what's required, what size for what pressure and strength and all that sort of stuff. Now this is a piece of iron. It's not, okay, so that's a piece of steel. This is a piece of iron. We know that because it says so on the drawing. So this here is not as strong as this here. So when these go back in, it'll be a lot stronger than it was before. And that's what happens with modern day, you know, things. When bits get replaced, you get more modern standards, like the material standards of back in 1926 are nothing compared to what today's standards are. And in some cases that can be good, but you've got to make sure that you don't go too strong or if you go too strong, it could be too brittle, and that's going to cause you more problems. So you've got to have flexibility. Got to allow the material to stretch and contract and all that sort of fun stuff. But that's just a quick overview on what a stay is. It helps to do with the safety of the boiler. And these things, these boilers, despite what people might say or what your Uncle Jim says down the road, who's done everything and been there, done that, the boilers are safe. They're over-designed for what they're doing and the pressure they're holding. And the standards we have here in Australia, or especially here in Queensland, well, not just Queensland, but other states as well, these things are not overstressed or anything like that. They're well maintained, and that goes for anything. Anything that's not well maintained, it becomes unreliable, it breaks easy and all that sort of stuff. And like anything, they need to be maintained. And if they haven't worked for a long time, like this particular boiler, before it goes out into a public situation,
well, we'll make sure that everything's right and above board, and it'll be fixed up, ready to go. And yet they still make. Yeah. So I've been blabbering on here for about half an hour now, but we've got one more book to show, and hopefully, Emma, you at home and in front of the computer at the moment, or because this has been an inspiration from Emma's stream last night.
Okay. What's going on here? Right, hang on. Testing 1, 2. Is that any better, guys? Ah, even my father rang and said lost voice. Sounds back? Is it back, is it? Oh, it's all right. I wouldn't have got it anyway. Am I back now? Have we got it? My dad even called me too. Maybe number 2's died. All right, we'll turn number 2 off. I just got number 1. So can we hear me now? We're all good, are we? Better now. Cody says better now. Thanks, Cody. Thanks. Roger says, yep, can hear you. Thanks. Back in action. Thank you. Thank you. I don't know what's going wrong here. Maybe there's something wrong. Here's the old wireless mic. I don't think it should be like that. I think maybe the battery's starting to expand. Back in action. All right, guys. Thank you. Thanks, Dad, for ringing on the mobile. Thanks, G, for calling me. But seeing it, I usually... right, let's get back into it. Where was I? Right, I wonder what happened. Oh, well, there's a bit of entertainment tonight. Let's go back to the book. Hopefully you like the hand gestures on the book. Anyway, what I was saying is this book, Engineer's Black Book. Engineer's Black Book. It's a bloody great buy. There's so much information in here. It's not funny. It even gives you quick visual identification of tungsten carbide inserts. Those of you using a lathe, you'd be familiar with those. Hardness, yeah, there's just a wealth. Like if you buy one of these books, useful formula for finding area and volume of solid figures. Well, you know, that's that's depending on what you're trying to do. I mean, for some people, that's some brain bleeding stuff. Or like I said, if you're into this sort of thing, you need one of these. Just go and get one. As Emma pointed out, you won't have the old naked man on the front, or the I can't even say it. The Viturian man. There you go. I said it. Viturian man. I should read that. Righto. So it comes from the idea of the cover design of the Engineer's Black Book came to the author from a sketch of the Viturian man by the great Italian artist, inventor, and mathematician, let's get it right, Leonardo da Vinci. Drew his inspiration from works of the Vitruvius entitled De Architecture. There you go. That's so there's a little spiel on what's that about and why it's on the front cover. As Emma said in her thing last night, it's changed. Even on the back, it's got you know, quick conversions. So if you want to go to bar to PSI, it's 14.5. 1 bar is 14.5 or something. And same with degrees Celsius to Fahrenheit. You know, that sort of thing. So if you need one, go get one. Great book. You won't go wrong. It'll last you a lifetime. And yeah, right. So let's get rid of that. Get me up here. Oh, you guys, you crack me up. Probably get a copyright strike or some sort of warning from bloody Dougal about that for being offensive or all that sort of stuff. But hey, Da Vinci done it, so why not? Righto, so I think that's about it. We're probably going to call it a night. I've rabbited on long enough. I've showed you what I haven't done. I haven't done a video for the last like 2 weeks or something like that. It's been crazy. I have recorded another one. I've got to do a little bit of editing and get that up, so people got something to watch. Subscribers were at 763. That's been standing still for a while, but that's obvious because I haven't been doing anything. Yeah, you can call me as much as you like, Pete. If it's not, I usually shut down, like when I'm doing live stream on this computer, I shut down Discord and any other external app, so I don't get disturbed. But maybe I should have something open just in case something goes wrong, so you guys can reach out and try and help me out, which you did. Even my phone, I had it turned right down. I wasn't even looking at it, so I didn't even hear it vibrating. Called him on the megaphone. Yeah, might have to do an in-person visit, G, one day if you're ever up this way. I'm sure you might be. But anyway, look, thanks everyone. I really appreciate the support that you guys have given me. Yeah, I very much do really appreciate the support and encouragement that you guys give me, not just online here right now, but also offline. Thanks to my mum and dad, my wife, the dogs, the shed dogs. They're not here tonight. They're down in the house. They're probably snoozing or something like that. It's probably getting a bit late for them. I'll have to get them on another live stream. It's been a while. So thanks, everyone. I'm going to wrap it up at that. We'll catch you in the next one. See you next Thursday. Bye for now. Whistle.